All right, guys, so this is Mako. This is called Mako. They usually use it for bag making, to stabilize the bag. So this is it. You can get it from shoemaker shop. If you don't have this, you can use gum stable. I think this is the best to use because it's strong and it's stable. Okay, so I'm just going to the measurement I'm using for the width is 2.5. For the width is 2.5, and for the length I have 20.5 inches here. 2.5 inches by width, and the length is 20.5. Okay, so I have the body of the cap, that is the one that will go round the head circumference. So this one is just like the casing for this. This is the casing for the Mako. Okay, so I just measure my head circumference round, but you know the way the cap is sitting is not sitting well like cap, so I didn't go round like that. I just measure it slantly the way I want the cap to position. Okay, so the width is 6 inches, and the length I'm working with is my head circumference, and I added 1 inch to it, so I have 25 inches here. Okay, just measure your head circumference, and just measure your head circumference to determine the width of, the length of the cap. Okay, so this is it, but the standard is still within that 23-24 in length, while the weight is, you can use 6 inches, because you are going to be folding this in at least by 1 inch, so it's going to be firm. Okay, so that's that. So for the rows, depending on how big you want the rows to be. Okay, so the rows, the length is 35 inches, 35.5. That's the length that I have here, and I'm working with the width of 7.5. Okay, so depending on how big you want your rows to be, if you want it bigger than that, you can just make it more longer. Okay, so, and I'm going to be using foam. Okay, this is 2 inches foam. If you have 1 inch, it's fine, it's okay, but this is the one I have at home. This is what I'm going to be using. Okay, so I have 3 point, let's just say 3 inches in width for the foam, and the length is 30 inches. So that's what I'm going to be making use of. So I'm just going to go to my sewing machine. So if you don't have sewing machine, just take your thread and your needle. Then you take the body of this is the body of the cap. For the casing of this, just fold it into two this way, and I'm just going to stitch it by 1/2 inch. Okay, so when I stitch it for 1/2 inch, I'm going to have something like this. It's going to be 2.5 inches. That will be for the casing of this. Okay, I'm just going to also go ahead to do the same thing for the casing of the foam. I'll go ahead and also stitch it with 1/2 inch. I'm just going to sew it straight. Okay, so let me just go ahead. If you don't have sewing machine, use your thread and your needle. So let me go and stitch it, and I'll show you. All right, so I'm done stitching it. I've stitched it with 1/2 inch. I've done the same thing to this one too. So I'm just going to turn it inside out. So I've turned the two around, and you can see this is for the rows, and this is for the Mako. All right, so I'm just going to pipe it in. I'm going to turn it like this. The stitch part, just turn it to the middle. You can iron it to make it flat. Okay, so I'm just going to pipe it in. All right, so I'm done piping it. You can see how this place is. So this is the rose. I've already put the foam inside too. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold it this way. Okay, so I'm going to stitch this way. Okay, so I'll just stitch it with half of an inch. Remember this middle part, let it be at the center. Okay, so this one will just be the inside, so just fold it this way and stitch it. So I'll just go ahead and stitch. Okay, so I'm done stitching it. I'm just going to turn it inside out, and this is what we have right now. Okay, so I'm going to pick up this. Okay, so from this edge, from the tip here, I will just fold it inside. Okay, and then I'll just run a continuous stitch. A continuous stitch. I'll come to this, to the edge here. I'll continue doing that. This one, I'm going to fold this one inside, and I will do what I did to the other. And see what we have. So on this side, I'm just going to place it at the middle. So I'm just going to stitch it. Now fit.